I walked into Antonio's at 7:45 that Saturday evening, still wearing my scrubs under my coat. The hostess led me to the private dining room where my family sat around empty plates and wine glasses. Mom stood up, her smile cold as ice, and pulled a crisp $1,000 bill from her designer purse. She held it out to me. "Since you missed dinner, at least you can cover your share of the bill, right?" My sister Tara laughed from across the table. "You're our ATM." Everyone joined in, Dad, aunts, my brother-in-law Justin, all laughing. I took the bill, tore it cleanly in half, and dropped both pieces on the white tablecloth. "I'm done being your bank." I walked out while they sat there stunned, their laughter dying in their throats. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel of my Honda Civic in the parking lot. I had just destroyed $1,000, nearly a week of my salary as a registered nurse at St. Vincent Hospital. But something inside me had finally snapped after 10 years of being their personal cash machine. The drive to my small one-bedroom apartment in southeast Portland felt like moving through fog. I kept replaying the scene, the empty plates, their full bellies, my late arrival after a 12-hour shift in the cardiac unit rushing to make it to their anniversary dinner. And that bill. That $1,000 bill held out like I was some kind of servant expected to pay for the privilege of their company. I unlocked my apartment door and collapsed on my second-hand couch. $850 a month for this place, and it was all I could afford. Meanwhile, my parents lived in their nice 3-bedroom house in northeast Portland, and Tara and Justin had that beautiful place in Beaverton with the manicured lawn and 2-car garage. Let me tell you how I got here. I graduated from nursing school at 22, full of hope and determination. I was the first person in my family to finish college. Mom cried at my graduation, told me how proud she was. 2 months later, she called asking for help with her car loan. $18,000. "Just until we get back on our feet, honey." I paid it off. Then came Dad's kidney stones. $12,000 in medical bills. I covered them. Then Tara's wedding. $25,000 for her dream day. I wrote the check. For 10 years, I had sent monthly checks of $500 for family emergencies, a leaky roof, property taxes, Christmas presents for the grandkids. It never stopped. I calculated it once during a sleepless night. Approximately $147,000 over 10 years. Given willingly because they were my family. Because that's what families do, right? Except Tara and Justin took vacations to Hawaii. My parents spent every winter in Arizona. And I lived paycheck to paycheck, my savings account perpetually hovering near zero. Sunday morning arrived with gray Portland rain. I made coffee and checked my mail, mostly to avoid thinking about last night. Between the electric bill and grocery store flyers, I found something that made my blood run cold. A credit card statement from Capital First Visa. I had never heard of Capital First Visa. I definitely had never applied for their card. Balance due, $12,300. My heart hammered as I scanned the purchases. Furniture from a store in Beaverton. Electronics from Best Buy. Restaurant charges. Grocery stores near my parents' house. None of these purchases were mine. The billing address was correct, my apartment, but I had never seen these statements before. I called Capital First customer service with trembling fingers. The representative confirmed the card had been opened 8 months ago through an online application. She read back my social security number, my date of birth, my mother's maiden name. All correct. All information only my family would know. "Can you send me the complete transaction history?" My voice sounded strange, distant. "Of course, ma'am. I'm emailing it now." I opened my laptop and watched the email arrive. Page after page of charges. I cross-referenced the dates and locations. The furniture store? 2 blocks from Tara's house. The restaurants? Places my parents loved. Someone in my family had opened this credit card in my name and maxed it out. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. I logged into Credit Karma to check my credit report. What I found made me physically ill. 3 more credit cards I had never opened. Chase, $9,800. Discover, $7,500. American Express, $15,200. Total fraudulent debt, $44,800. I grabbed my keys and drove to my parents' house. Dad's truck was in the driveway. Mom's sedan parked beside it. Sunday afternoon, they would be watching football like always. I rang the doorbell, those credit card statements clutched in my fist. Mom opened the door in her bathrobe, coffee mug in hand. "Briana, What are you doing here? I pushed past her into the living room. Dad was on the couch in his recliner, the Seahawks game on the television. I threw the statements on the coffee table. Did you open credit cards in my name? The color drained from Mom's face. She set down her coffee mug carefully. Dad wouldn't look at me, just kept staring at the television like the game was the most important thing in the world. We needed help, Mom said finally, her voice hard. You weren't giving us enough money. The floor seemed to tilt under my feet. You weren't giving us enough money, like I owed them, like my salary belonged to them. This is identity theft, I said. This is a crime. Tara's voice came from behind me. Oh please, you have good credit. We needed it more than you. She walked into the living room carrying one of Mom's grandkids, little Emma on her hip. Go ahead. Call the cops on your own family. See how that makes you look. Mom started crying, right on cue. After everything we did for you, after we raised you, fed you, clothed you, this is how you repay us? By threatening us? I looked at the three of them, my mother crying fake tears. My father still refusing to meet my eyes. My sister smirking at me like this was all some kind of joke. They had planned this. They had stolen my identity, destroyed my credit, and now they were making me feel like the villain. I left without another word. What could I say? They had turned everything around, made me question my own reality. But back in my car, I looked at those statements again. $44,800. That was real. That was fraud. And I was the victim, no matter how much they tried to gaslight me. Monday morning I called into work. Personal day. I had never taken a personal day in 5 years at Street Vincent, but I could not face patients when my entire life was collapsing. I spent the morning on the phone with credit card companies, my voice raw from explaining the same story over and over. Identity theft. Fraud. No, I did not make these purchases. Yes, I need to dispute them. Yes, I understand I need a police report. The Southeast Precinct of the Portland Police Bureau was busy on a Monday afternoon. I waited 45 minutes before Officer Williams called my name. He was maybe 35, with kind eyes and a patient demeanor that made me feel slightly less crazy. Identity theft within families is more common than people think, he said as he typed my statement into his computer. But it's also more complicated. Family members often try to claim the victim gave permission. I never gave permission. My voice cracked. I gave them money willingly for 10 years. Why would they need to steal my identity if I was already helping? Officer Williams handed me copies of the police report with a case number. You'll need these for the credit card companies. The investigation will take time. Are you safe? Do they have access to your home? I shook my head. They had never been to my apartment. I had always gone to them, like a good daughter should. Back home, I filed disputes with all 4 credit card companies. They froze the accounts pending investigation, but I was still legally responsible for the debt until fraud was proven. 60 to 90 days, they said. I had 60 to 90 days of this hanging over my head while they investigated. But I needed to know the full extent of the damage. I ordered complete credit reports from all 3 bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. The reports arrived via email within minutes. I made myself a cup of tea and sat down at my kitchen table to read them. By the second page, the tea went cold and forgotten. A personal loan from Prosper Lending, $23,000, opened 2 years ago. An auto loan from Chase Auto Finance, $32,000, opened 1 year ago. Medical financing from Care Credit, $8,500, opened 6 months ago. Combined with the credit cards, my total fraudulent debt was $108,300. $108,300 in debt I had never created. My credit score had dropped from 740 to 590. Everything I had worked for, destroyed. I called Chase Auto Finance. The loan was for a 2022 Ford F-150 pickup truck. They gave me the VIN number. I ran it through the Oregon DMV online public records. The truck was registered to Justin Williams at Tara's address in Beaverton. They had bought my brother-in-law a truck using a loan in my name. I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by papers and reports, trying to understand how my family had done this to me, how my mother had looked me in the eye for 10 years while systematically stealing my identity, how my sister had smiled and hugged me at family dinners while destroying my financial life. My phone rang. Street Vincent Hospital HR. I almost did not answer. This is Briana. Briana, it's Patricia from Human Resources. We need to discuss something. We've had several debt collectors calling the hospital looking for you this morning. 3 different collection agencies called our main line. My stomach dropped. I'm handling it. It's fraud. I filed a police report. Patricia's voice was skeptical. I understand, but this is disrupting our workplace. Patients have heard phones ringing constantly. We need you to resolve this situation quickly. I assured her I was working on it and ended the call. But I knew what that tone meant. My job was at risk. Because my family had decided to destroy me. The text messages started that afternoon. Mom, how could you file a police report against us? Tara, you're trying to send your own sister to jail? Dad, we're cutting you off. Don't contact us again. Then the extended family joined in. Cousins, aunts, people I had not spoken to in years suddenly had opinions about what a terrible daughter I was. They had spun the story. Briana filed a police report against her loving family over a misunderstanding. Briana is vindictive and cruel. Briana is mentally unstable. I sat on my couch that night, my phone buzzing with messages I did not read, and cried until I had no tears left. I was completely alone. Over $100,000 in debt I did not create. My family had turned everyone against me. My job was threatened, and I had no idea how to fix any of it. 2 weeks later, the debt collectors found me at work. I was checking a patient's vitals in the cardiac unit when security called. There's someone here demanding to speak with you. We tried to escort him out, but he's causing a scene in the lobby. I finished with my patient and went downstairs. A man in a cheap suit was arguing with security, waving papers in the air. Briana Foster? I have a court summons for you. He shoved the papers at me in front of patients, visitors, and staff. My face burned with humiliation. The next morning, Patricia from HR called me into her office. Dr. Chen, my supervisor, was there too. Their faces were serious. Briana, we appreciate your 5 years of service here. But this situation is affecting hospital operations. Debt collectors are calling daily. One showed up and created a scene. We're placing you on administrative leave pending resolution of your personal issues. Administrative leave meant unpaid. It meant I was essentially fired, but they were being polite about it. I cleaned out my locker in the staff room, my hands mechanical, my mind numb. $3,200 bi-weekly, gone. My health insurance would end in 30 days. The financial math was brutal. Rent, $850 due in 10 days. Car payment, $325. Student loans, $415. Utilities, food, gas. I had $1,200 in my checking account. No savings because every extra dollar had gone to my family over the years. I was going to lose everything. I applied for unemployment, denied. Administrative leave was not the same as termination. I applied to other hospitals, but background checks showed my destroyed credit and mounting debt issues. No one would hire me. I tried to get a personal loan to cover expenses, denied. My credit score was too low. Meanwhile, Tara posted on Facebook, "Some people forget where they came from. Family means nothing anymore." Within hours, dozens of comments appeared. Extended family members defending Tara, calling me ungrateful and cruel. My phone exploded with hate messages. I deleted Facebook, but the damage was done. I was completely isolated. 3 weeks after that anniversary dinner, I found a free legal aid clinic in downtown Portland. The junior attorney, Samantha Reed, was maybe 28, earnest and overworked. I explained everything while she took notes. "This is serious fraud," she said. "You need to press charges and pursue this legally. But I have to warn you, prosecutors often don't like family cases, and this could take months or even years to resolve." Samantha helped me gather documentation. I requested copies of applications from all the creditors, looking for signatures, IP addresses, anything that would prove I had not opened these accounts. The evidence was damning. Applications submitted from my parents' home IP address. Timestamps showing I was at work when accounts were opened, proven by my hospital badge records. Forged signatures that did not match my handwriting. But then I found something that stopped my heart. A notice from First National Bank about a property refinance. The address was 623 Maple Drive, my parents' house. I was listed as a co-borrower on a refinance mortgage. Loan amount, $350,000. Closed 4 months ago. I called First National Bank, my voice shaking so badly I could barely speak. They confirmed it. I was legally obligated as a co-borrower on my parents' mortgage. If they defaulted, I was responsible for the entire debt. The monthly payment was $2,100. They had refinanced to pull cash out of the house equity. $200,000 in cash. I drove to my parents' house. Everything looked the same. Same old roof, same paint, same landscaping. They still lived there, so where had the money gone? I drove to Tara's address in Beaverton. What I saw made me want to vomit. Her house had been completely remodeled. New windows, new roof, fresh paint, professionally landscaped yard with river rock and ornamental grasses. In the driveway sat a brand new silver Lexus SUV with temporary tags still in the window. My parents had given Tara the refinance money. $200,000 to remodel her house and buy a luxury car, using my name as co-borrower without my knowledge or consent. They had forged my signature on mortgage documents. I sat in my car outside Tara's beautiful house and did the math. Credit cards, $44,800. Loans, $63,500. Mortgage liability, $350,000. Total exposure, $450,000. My family had destroyed my life to fund Tara's lifestyle upgrade. That night I could not sleep. I had not slept properly in weeks. I had lost 15 pounds from stress. My scrubs had hung loose on my frame before I lost my job. Panic attacks came randomly, leaving me gasping and dizzy. I was falling apart physically and mentally. The eviction notice came on a rainy November morning. Mr. Patterson, my landlord, was apologetic but firm. I had not paid rent. I had 7 days to vacate. I had nowhere to go. No money for a security deposit on a new place. No family to ask for help since they all hated me now. Friends had distanced themselves after seeing the Facebook drama. I packed my essential belongings into my Honda Civic on day 7. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, some books. Everything else I left behind or donated. That night I parked in the Walmart parking lot on Southeast 82nd Avenue and tried to sleep in my car. Portland in November is cold and wet. Rain drummed on the roof. I shivered under a thin blanket, wondering how my life had come to this. Living in my car became my new reality. I showered at the 24-hour fitness gym, where I still had a membership for $20 a month. I could not afford to cancel it because I needed somewhere to stay clean. I ate cheap fast food when I could afford it. Sometimes I skipped meals. The Walmart parking lot became my home, along with various other parking lots around Portland where security would not bother me. I finally got hired at Target, stocking shelves on the overnight shift. $11.50 an hour, 28 hours a week. It was not enough to rent an apartment, but it kept gas in my car and some food in my stomach. I worked midnight to 6 in the morning, then spent days at the public library where it was warm and I could use free Wi-Fi. The library became my office. I used their computers to continue documenting my fraud case, emailing back and forth with Samantha. We were building evidence, but it was slow, so painfully slow. Meanwhile, my health deteriorated. I developed a persistent cough from sleeping in the cold car. I could not afford a doctor without health insurance. I lost more weight. Dark circles appeared under my eyes. I looked gaunt and exhausted because I was. 2 months after that anniversary dinner, I drove past my parents' house. I do not know why. Maybe I was punishing myself. They were having a barbecue in the backyard. I could see the gathering through the fence. Everyone laughing, happy. Brand new patio furniture. My cousin Madison arrived with wrapped gifts. They were celebrating something while I lived in my car. I checked Facebook one last time before I had deleted it. Tara had posted, "So excited! Justin and I are buying an investment property." Photos of a cute bungalow in the trendy Selwood neighborhood. Comments flooded in. "Congratulations! You guys are so smart with money." The hypocrisy was suffocating. But as I scrolled through Tara's photos, looking for more evidence of their stolen lifestyle, I saw something that broke me completely. A dinner party photo. Tara, Justin, and several friends at a nice restaurant. And there, sitting close to my sister, was Derek, my ex-fiancé. Derek and I had dated for 4 years, been engaged for 8 months. We broke up 3 years ago because he said I was too focused on family obligations. I thought he meant I worked too much. Now I wondered if he had just been tired of me always being broke because I gave everything to my family. I clicked through more photos with trembling hands. Derek and Tara hiking at Silver Falls. Derek and Tara at a concert. Derek and Tara at Powell's Books. 6 months of photos documenting their relationship. Comments from mutual friends. "You two are so cute together." Tara had not just stolen my money. She had stolen my life. She had taken my fiancé, built herself a beautiful existence using my destroyed credit, and was now buying investment properties while I slept in a car. I pulled up public property records on the library computer. The Selwood bungalow had been purchased by Derek Matthews and Tara Williams Family Trust. Down payment, $45,000. They had used fraudulent money to create an investment trust together. I sat in the library and sobbed. The librarian, Mrs. Henderson, a kind older woman with silver hair and gentle eyes, came over. "Are you okay, dear?" I could not explain. I just apologized and went back to my car. I parked in an empty lot and cried until I physically could not cry anymore. This was rock bottom. I had lost everything: my job, my home, my family, my fiancé, my financial future. And the people who destroyed me were thriving. For a moment, sitting in that car, I considered just driving away, maybe head to California or Seattle, start completely over somewhere else. But the debt would follow me. The destroyed credit would follow me. There was no running from this, and if I ran, they would win. They would destroy my life and face zero consequences. Deep in that despair, something shifted. A spark of anger ignited in my chest. They did not get to win. They did not get to destroy me and walk away smiling. I was going to fight back. I did not know how yet, but I was going to make them face justice. I was worth fighting for, even if I was the only one who believed it. The next day I went back to the legal aid clinic. I looked terrible. I knew I did. Samantha's eyes widened when she saw me. "Briana, what happened to you?" I told her everything. Living in my car, working at Target, the house refinance, Derek and Tara, the investment property. Samantha listened with growing horror, taking notes. "This is one of the worst identity theft cases I've ever seen. The dollar amounts are significant enough for serious federal charges. But Briana, I'm just legal aid. You need a real attorney with resources." She picked up her phone. "I have a friend from law school. Let me make a call." 3 days later, I sat in a conference room on the 42nd floor of a downtown office tower. The view stretched across the Willamette River to Mount Hood in the distance. Marcus Bradley sat across from me, mid-40s, sharp suit, piercing eyes that missed nothing. He was a partner at Henderson, Bradley and Associates, one of Portland's top law firms. "Your sister and parents have committed serious crimes," Marcus said after reviewing my case file. "This isn't just civil fraud. This is criminal identity theft, forgery, wire fraud, and conspiracy. We're talking potential federal prison time of 5 to 10 years. He leaned forward. "Are you prepared for your family to face criminal charges and possible prison sentences?" I met his eyes. They destroyed my life. "Yes, I'm prepared." Marcus took my case pro bono. He was moved by my situation, he said, and believed strongly in holding white-collar criminals accountable, even within families. He assigned an associate attorney, Jennifer Park, to help. They started a comprehensive investigation. Over the next 2 weeks, they subpoenaed documents from every creditor. Credit card applications showed IP addresses from my parents' home and Tara's home. Timestamps proved I was at work when the applications were submitted. My hospital badge records showed me clocked in at Street Vincent while someone was opening accounts in my name across town. Handwriting analysis on physical documents revealed obvious forgeries. The mortgage fraud was even more damning. First National Bank provided the refinance paperwork. The notarized signature claiming to be mine was dated on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. My badge records showed me working at the hospital that entire day. I could not have been in 2 places at once. The notary was George Fletcher, a notary public in Beaverton. Marcus scheduled an interview. Then Jennifer made a discovery that changed everything. She pulled my complete credit history going back to when I turned 18. Hidden in the old records were accounts I had never known about. Store credit cards opened when I was 18, 19, 20. Small balances, paid off quickly before I ever noticed them on my credit reports. "Briana," Jennifer said, spreading the documents across Marcus's conference table. "Your mother has been stealing your identity since you turned 18. This wasn't opportunistic fraud. This was planned, systematic, long-term exploitation. The pattern was clear. Mom had started small, testing whether I would notice. Store cards with low limits. She used them, made minimum payments, sometimes paid them off. She was building my credit score while simultaneously testing my awareness. When I never caught on, she escalated. Bigger credit cards, personal loans, car loans. Finally, the mortgage refinance. Marcus's investigator found even more. 6 years ago, when I was 26, my identity was used to co-sign on Tara's first house purchase. Tara had sold that house 2 years ago, made a $60,000 profit, and I had never seen a penny. I had never even known I was liable for that mortgage. The total fraud over 12 years was staggering. Marcus calculated every transaction, every account, every loan. Approximately $630,000 had been transacted using my identity. Some had been paid off using money I had willingly given my family. The rest remained as crushing debt, destroying my credit and my life. Your mother planned this from the day you turned 18, Marcus said. You were never family to her. You were a financial resource to be exploited. Jennifer found physical evidence too. Marcus's investigator had legally obtained trash from outside Tara's home. In the garbage was a bank statement envelope addressed to me, but sent to Tara's address. She had been intercepting my mail to hide the fraud. That was mail fraud, a federal crime. Marcus contacted the district attorney's office and met with Assistant District Attorney Catherine Simmons. She reviewed the evidence with her team. 2 days later, she called Marcus. We're taking the case. This is absolutely prosecutable. I'm presenting to a grand jury next week. For the first time in 3 months, I felt hope. Real hope. Justice was possible. I was still living in my car, still working overnight at Target, still struggling to survive day by day. But I had powerful attorneys fighting for me, and the law was on my side. The grand jury met and reviewed the evidence. They returned indictments against Carol Foster, Dennis Foster, and Tara Williams. Multiple counts of identity theft, forgery, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Arrest warrants were issued. Marcus called me early one morning. They're executing the warrants today. Are you somewhere safe? I was parked at a rest stop outside the city, about to head to my shift at Target. I'm safe, I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. This was really happening. The arrests happened simultaneously at 6 a.m. Police arrived at my parents' house and at Tara's house. They were taken into custody, processed, and booked. By noon, all three had posted bail. Carol and Dennis, $50,000 each. Tara, $75,000. They were furious and terrified. The story hit the local news that evening. Family identity theft case shocks Portland community. My name was kept private under victim protection laws, but my family was publicly named. The news showed footage of Carol and Dennis leaving the courthouse. My mother looked old and frightened. My father kept his head down. Tara wore sunglasses and refused to comment. Community reactions split immediately. Some people expressed outrage that family members would commit such fraud. Others commented on news sites and social media that families should work things out privately, not through the criminal justice system. The debate raged online. My family hired Robert Dawson, an expensive criminal defense attorney known for white-collar cases. Their strategy became clear quickly. They were going to paint me as a vindictive, mentally unstable daughter seeking revenge. They claimed I had given permission for everything and was now lying because I was angry about Tara dating Derek. They went on the offensive with a media campaign. Carol gave a tearful interview to a local news station. My daughter is trying to destroy us over a misunderstanding. She always gave us permission to use her credit. Now she's angry and making up lies. Tara appeared beside her, playing the concerned sister. She's always been jealous of me. This is just her way of getting attention. The interview went viral locally. My phone, still connected to Wi-Fi at the library, exploded with messages from strangers. Half called my family horrible criminals. The other half called me an ungrateful daughter destroying my own family. I deleted all my social media and changed my phone number. But support emerged from unexpected places. Former co-workers from Street Vincent contacted Marcus's office, offering to testify about how my family had exploited me financially for years. Friends I had not talked to in months reached out through Marcus, saying they wanted to help. A financial abuse expert appeared on the news explaining how family financial abuse was a serious and underreported crime. Public opinion started shifting. People began questioning why my family needed to steal my identity if I had supposedly given them permission. Why forge signatures? Why intercept mail? The narrative was changing. Marcus filed a civil lawsuit alongside the criminal case. He sued Carol, Dennis, and Tara for damages. The lawsuit sought repayment of all fraudulent debt, emotional distress damages, and attorney fees. Total damages: $1,200,000. The discovery phase began. Depositions were scheduled. Under oath, my family would have to answer questions about every fraudulent account, every forged signature, every stolen dollar. Robert Dawson tried to fight the depositions, but the judge denied his motions. They had to testify. Carol's deposition happened first. Marcus questioned her for 6 hours straight. He walked her through each fraudulent account, showing timestamps, IP addresses, and hospital badge records proving I was at work when accounts were opened. She tried claiming I had given verbal permission. Marcus showed evidence I could not have given permission when I did not know the accounts existed. She got flustered, contradicted herself repeatedly. Finally, exhausted and confused, she said, "Fine." Maybe she didn't explicitly say yes. But family helps family. She owed us for raising her. There it was, on the record. A tacit admission that she had opened accounts without my explicit permission because she felt entitled to my money. Dennis's deposition came the following week. I was not allowed to attend, but Marcus called me afterward. "Your father broke down," he said. "Completely fell apart." Marcus walked me through what happened. He had questioned Dennis about the mortgage refinance, showing proof of the forged signature, and the notary records proving I had been at work. Dennis started crying. I told Carol this was wrong. She said Briana owed us for raising her. She said we deserved it. Then he revealed something that changed everything. Tara planned most of it. She's the one who suggested using Briana's credit. She said Briana was too stupid to check her credit reports. She manipulated everyone. Dennis confessed that Tara had threatened to cut him off from his grandchildren if he did not go along with the fraud. He revealed additional crimes I had not even known about. Tara had opened investment accounts in my name. She had forged my signature on tax returns to claim false refunds. She had used my identity to get utility services and then never paid the bills, leaving me liable. Then, Dennis dropped the biggest revelation. Tara had been embezzling from Carol and Dennis too. She had power of attorney over their finances, supposedly to help them manage money. She had stolen approximately $90,000 from their accounts over 3 years. They had not prosecuted her because she's family. "She's destroyed everyone," Dennis sobbed during the deposition. "And I let it happen because I was too weak to stand up to her." Ada Catherine Simmons now had Dennis's confession and his willingness to testify against Carol and Tara. She offered him a deal: plead guilty to reduced charges, get probation instead of prison, and testify at trial. Dennis agreed immediately. His attorney said he was relieved to finally tell the truth. Meanwhile, Tara made a desperate move. She filed a false police report claiming I had threatened her. She got a temporary restraining order based on her lies. I had to defend myself in a hearing. Marcus presented evidence showing Tara's claims were completely fabricated. Cell phone records proved I had not contacted her. Witness statements confirmed I had been at work during the alleged threats. The judge dismissed the restraining order and scolded Tara. "Miss Williams, filing false police reports wastes court resources and undermines the integrity of the protection order system. If you file false reports again, I will hold you in contempt." The criminal trial date was set. Carol and Tara would be tried together. 3 weeks of trial testimony were expected. Jury selection began. The case was garnering significant media attention. Reporters called Marcus's office daily. I stayed hidden, still living in my car, still working at Target, trying to survive until justice could be served. 1 week before trial, Tara contacted Marcus through an intermediary. She wanted to settle and work things out privately. Marcus advised me not to engage. It was an intimidation tactic, an attempt to get me to drop charges. I ignored it completely. They had destroyed my life. Now they would face the consequences. But there was a small ray of hope. A victim advocate named Laura Chen reached out through Ada Catherine's office. She helped me apply for temporary housing assistance through victim services. After 4 months of living in my car, I moved into a transitional housing facility. It was just a small room with a shared bathroom down the hall, but it had a roof and heat. I cried the first night I slept in an actual bed. The trial began on a cold January morning at the Multnomah County Courthouse. I sat in the gallery, trying to look confident despite my thrift store dress and borrowed coat. Marcus sat at the prosecution table with Ada Catherine Simmons. My family sat at the defense table with Robert Dawson, their expensive attorney. Carol looked smaller than I remembered. Tara's face was hard and defiant. Dennis was not there. He had taken his plea deal and would testify for the prosecution. Judge Patricia Morrison presided, a stern woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and zero patience for nonsense. The jury was seated, 7 women, 5 men, a diverse group of Portlanders from all walks of life. Catherine gave her opening statement, laying out the 12-year pattern of systematic fraud. She showed the jury a timeline on a large screen. Fraudulent accounts appearing year after year, dollar amounts adding up to over $600,000. The jury looked shocked. Robert Dawson countered with the defense narrative. This is a family misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Poor communication. No criminal intent. Just a daughter who felt slighted and wanted revenge. The first week of trial was technical but damning. Catherine called forensic accountants who walked the jury through the paper trail. Bank representatives authenticated forged documents. A handwriting expert testified that signatures on applications did not match my handwriting. An IT specialist explained how IP addresses from my family's computers had been used to open accounts during times when hospital records proved I was at work. Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the witness stand on shaking legs. Catherine asked me to tell my story. I described years of willingly helping my family financially. Then I described the anniversary dinner, tearing up the $1,000 bill, discovering the fraud. I talked about losing my job, my apartment, living in my car, working overnight at Target just to survive. The courtroom was silent. I saw 2 jurors wiping tears from their eyes. Robert Dawson's cross-examination was brutal. He tried to paint me as vindictive and mentally unstable. Isn't it true you were jealous of your sister? Isn't it true you had anger issues? Isn't it true you wanted revenge after she started dating your ex-fiancé? I stayed calm. I answered each question with facts. I showed documentation. I did not let him rattle me. After 2 hours, he gave up. Dennis testified next. He was a broken man, pale and thin, avoiding eye contact with Carol and Tara. He described how the fraud started, how Tara had manipulated everyone, how Carol had felt entitled to my money. He cried on the stand. I was weak. I let them destroy my daughter's life. I'm so sorry, Briana. It was powerful testimony, but I felt nothing. Sorry would not give me back the years I lost. The trial moved into its second week. The defense tried to create reasonable doubt. They brought character witnesses who testified that Carol was a wonderful mother and Tara was generous and kind. But Catherine countered with hard evidence. You cannot argue with forged signatures and stolen identity documents. The facts were clear. Then, during a lunch recess in the middle of week 2, Robert Dawson approached Catherine in the courthouse hallway. Marcus called me immediately. Tara wants to take a plea deal. She'll plead guilty to reduced charges in exchange for testifying against Carol. Catherine considered it carefully. Carol was the mastermind. Getting Tara to testify against her mother would seal the case. She agreed to the deal. Tara would plead guilty to 3 counts of identity theft, facing up to 5 years in prison, in exchange for full testimony. Tara took the stand 2 days later. She had already entered her guilty plea. Now she had to tell the truth. Catherine questioned her about how the fraud started, who planned it, who benefited most. Tara's voice was flat and emotionless. My mother planned everything from the beginning. She said Briana was her retirement plan. She opened the first accounts when Briana turned 18. She taught me how to do it. She took the largest share of the money. Tara described how they had used my money to fund her lifestyle. The house remodel, the Lexus, the investment property with Derek. She admitted everything. Carol sat at the defense table looking betrayed and furious. Her own daughter had turned on her. Carol refused to take a plea deal. She insisted on continuing the trial, taking the stand in her own defense. It was a terrible mistake. Catherine's cross-examination destroyed her. Carol claimed I had consented to everything. Catherine showed evidence proving that was impossible. Carol got angry, losing her temper on the stand. I raised her. I fed her. I clothed her. She owes me everything. She should be grateful. The jury saw her true nature in that moment. The entitled mother who believed her daughter existed to fund her lifestyle. The woman who had systematically exploited her own child for 12 years without remorse. Closing arguments happened on a Friday afternoon. Catherine was powerful and emotional. Carol Foster did not see her daughter as a person. She saw a resource to be exploited. She stole Briana's identity, her credit, her financial future, and very nearly her life. This was not a mistake. This was calculated, systematic abuse spanning 12 years. Robert Dawson did his best, but there was no real defense. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. I waited in a small conference room with Marcus and Laura, unable to eat or drink, my stomach twisted in knots. When the call came that the jury had reached a verdict, I felt like I might pass out. We returned to the courtroom. The jury foreman stood. Judge Morrison asked for the verdict. In the case of the state of Oregon versus Carol Foster, on the charge of identity theft in the first degree, count 1, how do you find? Guilty. Count 2, guilty. All 12 counts of identity theft, guilty. 4 counts of forgery, guilty. 2 counts of wire fraud, guilty. Carol showed no emotion. She sat perfectly still, staring straight ahead. Tara looked relieved that her plea deal meant she was spared this moment. I felt numb. It was over. Justice had been served. But I did not feel victorious. I just felt tired. Sentencing happened 1 month later. Carol stood before Judge Morrison in an orange jail jumpsuit. She had been remanded to custody after the verdict. Catherine recommended the maximum sentence. Dennis and I both gave victim impact statements. I told the judge how Carol's actions had destroyed my life, my health, my sense of security. She was supposed to protect me. Instead, she hunted me. Judge Morrison sentenced Carol to 8 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release. She was ordered to pay full restitution of $630,000. You systematically exploited your own daughter, Judge Morrison said. You showed no remorse until you were caught. This betrayal is particularly egregious. Family should be a source of safety and support. You turned it into a weapon. Tara was sentenced 2 weeks later. 3 years in prison, 2 years supervised release, and $200,000 in restitution. She finally showed emotion, crying as she was led away in handcuffs. Dennis got probation as part of his plea deal. No prison time because he had cooperated fully. But he had to pay $50,000 in restitution and complete community service. The civil lawsuit settled quickly after the criminal convictions. Carol and Tara's assets were seized. Tara's house went into foreclosure. Justin filed for divorce, claiming he had not known about the fraud. The investment property was sold. My parents' house was foreclosed on. Cars were repossessed. Everything they had bought with stolen money was taken. The total recovered was approximately $380,000. Not the full amount, but significant. The money started coming through the restitution system. First payment, $75,000. It was the first real money I had ever had that was truly mine. I opened a savings account and watched that number sit there, proof that justice was real. With money and restored credit, my life began to rebuild. The credit bureaus removed all fraudulent accounts from my reports. My credit score jumped to 765. The fraudulent debt was discharged completely. I was free. I rented a nice 1-bedroom apartment in Northeast Portland, with big windows and hardwood floors. I bought a reliable used Honda CR-V. I quit Target. For the first time in years, I could breathe, but I did not want to go back to hospital nursing. Too many painful memories. Instead, I enrolled in a program to become a financial counselor specializing in identity theft recovery. I wanted to help other victims navigate the nightmare I had survived. My suffering could have purpose. Laura, the victim advocate who had helped me, became a close friend. She introduced me to a support group for financial abuse survivors. I found a community of people who understood. I started volunteering, sharing my story, helping others file police reports, and gather evidence. 6 months after the trial, I had a steady job at a nonprofit helping identity theft victims. The salary was $58,000 a year with good benefits. I lived in my comfortable apartment with furniture I had bought myself. I had a healthy savings account with $12,000 that grew every month. I had gained back the weight I lost. My health was restored. I looked and felt like myself again. I started therapy to process the trauma. It was hard work, confronting the betrayal and learning to trust again. But slowly, I healed. I made new friends through the support group and volunteer work. I started dating cautiously. I built a chosen family of people who truly cared about me, not what they could take from me. Carol was in federal prison. I had not visited her and was not sure I ever would. Tara sent me a letter from prison apologizing for everything. I read it once and put it in a drawer. I was not ready to respond and might never be. Dennis called occasionally. I sometimes answered. He was genuinely remorseful, living in a small apartment, working at a hardware store, trying to rebuild his own life. Our relationship would never be what it was, but we were slowly, carefully finding a new normal. One day, 8 months after the trial, I ran into Derek at a coffee shop in the Pearl District. He looked embarrassed and uncomfortable. "Briana, hi, I just want to say." I had no idea about any of it. The fraud, I mean. When it all came out, I broke up with Tara immediately. "I'm so sorry for everything." I looked at him and felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, just complete indifference. "It's okay, Derek. It's all in the past." And it was. He was part of an old life that no longer existed. I had moved on completely. 1 year after I tore up that $1,000 bill, I hosted Thanksgiving dinner in my apartment. I invited Laura, Samantha from Legal Aid, Marcus and his wife, and several friends from my support group. My chosen family. We gathered around my small dining table with food I had cooked myself in my own kitchen, in my own home. My phone rang as I was setting out dishes. It was Marcus. "Final restitution payment just cleared. You've been fully compensated for all documented losses." The total came to $420,000. Combined with my restored credit and cleared name, I had been made whole. As everyone arrived and we sat down to eat, Laura asked, "What are you thankful for this year, Briana?" I looked around at the faces of people who had supported me, fought for me, believed me when my own family had turned the world against me. I'm thankful I finally learned my worth. I'm thankful I found the courage to fight back when everyone said I should just forgive and forget. I'm thankful for second chances. And I'm thankful that justice exists, even when getting there is hard. We raised our glasses and toasted to new beginnings. I felt peace for the first time in years. Complete, genuine peace. I had survived the worst betrayal imaginable. I had lost everything and built a new life from nothing. I was stronger than I ever knew I could be. The lessons I learned were hard but valuable. Sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones who hurt you most. But you do not have to accept abuse just because someone is family. Setting boundaries is not betrayal. It is survival. Justice may take time, but it is worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Real family lifts you up. If people are tearing you down, they are not your family, no matter what their last name is. Your worth is not determined by how others treat you. It comes from within. And you can rebuild from absolutely nothing and come out stronger on the other side. I am living proof of that. I smiled at my friends, my chosen family, and felt grateful for every painful step that had led me here. To freedom, to peace, to a life that was finally, truly mine. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced financial abuse or betrayal from someone you trusted? How did you find the courage to set boundaries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming life's hardest challenges. Share this with someone who might need to hear that they are worth fighting for. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that no matter how dark things seem, there is always hope for justice and healing. Take care of yourselves, and remember that you deserve to be treated with respect and love, always.